All right, thank you two both so much for being here with me today. We are celebrating 25 years of Tomb Raider all throughout 2021. So I have Shelley Blond and Natalie Cook here with me. This is Lara's original voice and Lara's original model. This is so exciting, and you two actually haven't met before, so this is extra exciting.
This is the first time I've seen Natalie, and this is incredible.
Yeah, lovely.
Wonderful. Okay, so this is super interesting because, you know, as the series evolved, we had people that would be like, oh my gosh, I'm trying out to be Lara Croft, or I'm going to this audition, and that like had this weight and this sort of gravity to it. But when both of you guys auditioned and then got the roles for Lara wasn't a thing yet. She was just this name, this computer character. So that's what we feel like is really interesting in the story that you two have. So to kind of set the scene, let's start with where you guys were at career-wise at the time. So we'll start with you, Shelley. What were you doing at the time that you got the job to be Lara?
At the time, I was in West End musicals. That was my thing at the time. I was always an actress before, mostly musicals as well as some commercials and things. But it was mainly stage work. So I was doing a show called Only the Lonely, a Roy Orbison musical, and an agent happened to come and see, a voiceover agent happened to come and see the show. And in the show, I was doing lots of different accents. And it was a fluke that they came backstage afterwards to ask me if I had representation for voiceover work. I didn't. I'd never done voiceover work before. And they wanted to take me on. And so really, you know, I'm from an acting background, all singing, all dancing. And that's how I got into voiceovers.
Wow,
I think
amazing.
my second job was Lara.
Awesome. Okay. And then how about for you, Natalie? What were you up to at the time professionally?
I was doing a bit of modelling, you know, here and there, TV work as well, doing quite a few different sort of bit parts on different TV shows. And I was also modelling for Snow White for Disney. So at that time, the Disney was opening all stores up all across the country. So I was Snow White, going around and opening a few stores up, but also doing the celebration. I think it was 25 years of the video or something, or it was a release of the video of Snow White. Okay. And so I was promoting that at the time.
That's amazing. So you went from Snow White to Lara Croft.
I went from Snow White
to Lara Croft. But I love that. Yeah. So how did you hear about the job then, Natalie? So Shelley, you heard about it during they approached you after a show, but Natalie, how did you at first hear about this job?
Well, it was my agency, and they called me and they said, you know, we've got this job that's come up. They've seen your photos, and they'd really like you to go for the casting. Mm-hmm. She said the only thing is that obviously you've got blue eyes, and Lara Croft, this computer character that they want you to portray, has brown eyes. They said, but obviously as you were doing Snow White, I had to wear brown eyes for that as well, brown contact lenses. So they said, if you can pop the brown contact lenses in and just give it a go and see what happens. And so I did, and yeah, I got the job, which was amazing.
That is amazing. So
those
Shelley,
brown contact lenses have come in handy.
For sure. So Shelley, how was the character described to you in terms of like characteristics? Did they compare her to anybody in pop culture? Because again, Lara didn't really mean anything at that time. People didn't know who she was.
No, nobody knew anything about her. Well, she was, you know, a female Indiana Jones. I was told, you know, I remember them saying Indiana Jones. And also they kept saying a female Bond, a female Sean Connery. And you know, 25 years ago, that's all I can really remember them saying. I saw a sketch of her was faxed to me. So I could kind of, you know, get a little feel of what she was about, but nothing really for the audition, nothing really. I just had to read the lines how I felt she would sound.
Okay, and then how about for you, Natalie? Did they describe her in a particular way, or did you also get that Bond sort of Indiana Jones?
Yeah, pretty similar to Shelley's. They said that she needed to be female Indiana Jones, a kick-ass character that took no shit from anyone, and who, yeah, which I was like, woo, I'm loving this. Because back then, obviously, you know, there was no female computer characters for a start, and it was quite a male-dominated world at that particular time. But I remember the Spice Girls being huge then as well. Yeah, so it was all about girl power. Which was brilliant.
For sure. Yeah. A lot of people actually don't realize this, but the Spice Girls in the Spice World movie, because I owned it, and I owned the Spice Girls video game because they were great. You can actually see Tomb Raider being played in their tour bus. They have
Really?
being played.
Oh,
And I
that's
just
awesome.
freaked out when I saw that. I thought that was
Yeah.
so cool because that synergy, you know, they both
Wow.
helped create that girl power movement. It was so great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what was the audition process like for each of you? Shelley, you can start. Was it after that they met you at the show? Was that like it? They were like, we're sold
No,
on
no,
you, or
no.
did you go through it?
They didn't meet me. They didn't meet me at the show.
Okay.
An agency booked me at the
okay.
show. So they took me on, and then a few weeks later, they said, "Listen, we've had a request. We'd like you to audition for this part of this Lara Croft. We're faxing over a picture. Just take the lines that they send you." So literally, I had I pressed play and record into my little cassette player, and I read some of the lines. "Welcome to my home," and sent it off via post, obviously, back then. And a few days later, maybe a week later, they asked to do a conference call. So it was with IDOS and Core. And they then again asked me in this conference call to say more lines, which I did. And then they told me, I can't remember if it was the same day, but after the course, pretty soon after the call, that I'd got the gig. And it was amazing for me because they'd been looking for her for so long.
Yeah, it was like
6 months, trying out many voiceover artists. And it was thrilling to get a job. Obviously, I didn't know what it would entail and that she'd be around 25 years later, but it was thrilling to get the job.
That's amazing. And how about for you? What was that process like, Natalie? Did you have to do anything physical, like any sorts of, like, I know stunts probably would have been a little extreme, but how do you embody her and show that?
Yeah, well, I went to the casting. When I arrived, there was loads of models there, and I did think to myself, "I'm not getting this job." You know, there were so many that fitted the bill. But I remember sitting around, like Shelley said, it's 25 years ago, so I'm sort of having to try and remember these things. But I went into this room, and all I remember, there was quite a lot of people there, and they were just asking me a little bit about what I did and what I was doing at that particular time, and. Yeah, they just said, "Do you think that you can play this character? Do you think you've got what it takes, to portray someone that takes no shit from no one?" And I said, "Well, I don't know, but I'm going to give it my best shot."
Well, you obviously impressed them.
Yeah, so that was the process, and I came away from there actually feeling a little bit sort of happy, thinking, actually, I don't know, I might get this.
Yeah.
And then my agent called and said, "Yeah, you got the job." So yeah, I was really happy. But at that particular time, they were trying to look for 3 models to do I think it was the Expo show in London. So that was where they were going to launch the video game. So they were looking for 3 models. So I was one of 3, which the other one was Katie Price, who I did it with, and another model from a different agency. So 3 of us were chosen, but then luckily I got picked to carry on portraying her, which was amazing.
I have seen some of the photos from that expo, and they are amazing. If you happen to know where any other ones are, you can dig them up. They are just like a treat to see, especially the really young dev team. You see them and they're just like, you can tell that they're at the start of this incredible journey with this thing that they've created, and it's just really neat to see. Shelley, we're going to talk just about your career for a bit, and then Natalie will come back to you and talk specifically about yours. But so Shelley, you were saying that this ended a 6-month search for Lara. So one of the interesting things that I remember is that, obviously she started as Lara Cruz, and Toby Gard had this quote about how they wanted to move her to become Lara Croft and make her, this quintessentially as British as possible. So for people in the US, like, what does that mean? What is quintessentially British, and how did you bring that to the character?
Well, that always confused me, because I don't think she was quintessentially British. She was quintessentially very posh.
Okay.
She was private school. She lived in a big mansion. She had a butler. I mean, I don't know many British people like that, but so I would say posh rather than quintessentially British. But she had a great education, and I think that's one of the interesting things about her, though, is the poshness, and then the fact that she likes to play in the dirt and run around with skeletons and dinosaurs and stuff. I think that's the interesting dichotomy of the poshness with her character, for sure. Yes.
And how did
she's much more adventurous than me. I there's no adventure in me. I wouldn't have said, but I love that she's from this very proper background, but yet gets in there. And,
no, okay.
Yeah.
So how did you approach the role of Lara? You mentioned when I talked to you for the book, both of you, I talked to you guys for the book, you mentioned being told to do very monosyllabic sort of talking, and you're a very bright, bubbly person, obviously. So was that difficult for you? And what
very
did that
difficult.
conveyed?
Very difficult. I almost felt like I was being, held back in chains because, I mean, she's sexy, but I wanted to make her, I thought she was, really sexy and confident, and I wanted to really portray that, but they wanted to keep her very, very monosyllabic, very, very, very safe, I felt. So every time I'd go for it, they'd say, pull it back. Oh, so I had to keep going back. But, a voiceover artist's job is to do what they, it's their baby. It's not my baby.
Yeah.
So I have to, give them the voice that they want for the character, not what I want.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I would have added more oomph and personality, I don't feel she had much personality. I would have done that. I've got to deliver what they want. And, at the end of the day, that's the job.
And so what was your impression for why they gave you that direction? Was it that she is like a straight shooter and just to the point and not distracted?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
No mucking about. She's got no time for anything, fluffy and fancy. She wants to get straight to the point. She shoots from the hip, in and out.
I also figure she spends a lot of time alone and like with
she's a loner.
creatures. So maybe her conversation skills were just developed at that time. I don't know.
Yeah. I like that.
So I remember you saying it only took 5 hours of recording. So 25 years later, we are sitting here talking to you about 5 hours of recording for this character. That's pretty incredible. So, like, what was that session like? Who was there, and how much guidance did they give you while you were there?
I know that there would have been about 4 or 5 people there, as well as an engineer. Mm-hmm. But I can only remember Nathan. Nathan McCree, who wrote the beautiful, beautiful music to it. And he was saying a lot, actually. He was giving a lot of direction, but again, it was always they'd ask me which line to say, and then they'd say pull it back, or do a bit more, or a bit more sarcastic, or now do it like she's hurt, or now she feels bad for him or something. But it was a continuous bring it back. But I had to have in mind the whole time monosyllabic, just deliver it.
Until you get to the end. So you mentioned that like the more vocal intensive bits, and this is interesting because I do for the studio, I do temporary VO for Lara a lot of times as we're trying to work through the script. And so like at first I started very timid, and like eventually I started kind of trying to do like the actual like the more exertion sounds. Is that what you guys call them?
Yeah. Yes.
They are very intense on your throat. So you had to save them for the end at these sessions. And,
yes.
And if this was your
Whenever I do that sort of a thing, I always say, can we leave this to the end? Normally they'll say we're going to do that at the end because we know that's the hardest bit. So you get all the soft stuff out the way. But then sitting there, majority of the time was, and it's very taxing, and having to go no, 400 times, and. It's a little bit embarrassing as well in a room full of men when you're going, that's, so it's a bit like, and they can see you, because you're always behind a glass screen, and you're,
So, I mean, this was your first voiceover role, right? So like,
it was my second, yes.
Second one. So these sorts of things were kind of foreign to you, I would assume, like somebody giving you direction, like you're falling off a cliff, you're being slammed into a wall, you're drowning, like that was all. Yeah. Kind of come with it on the fly.
But then again, that's when the acting comes into it. So, voice acting is acting.
Absolutely.
So you just have to imagine that you're falling down, and, and they might say it's a higher cliff now. So, it needs a longer sound, or, But it was good fun. It was exhausting, but it was good fun.
I can imagine. So what was your favorite line to deliver from the game? And are there anything that you remember? Fans were wondering if there's anything that you remember recording that actually didn't make it in the game.
I can't remember what I recorded last week, so asking
Totally
25
fair.
years ago is difficult. But I know people always get me to say, welcome to my home, or I think I'd better get out of these wet clothes now.
Yeah.
And a lot of them just say, can you just say no into my phone? So a lot of the time I'm just going, no.
It's a big mood, as they say now on the internet. Like,
my husband, hears it all the time.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so you also participated in some interviews and commercials as Lara afterwards, correct? And can you talk a little bit more about those, what they had you do?
I can't remember. I really can't remember. I would have just gone in and with the voice, just done what they've said to do. You know, whatever the script said, I would do. I honestly,
maybe
I can't
I'll see if I
remember.
can dig through the archives and find some of them. And
I would love that.
Maybe we'll see what we can come up with.
Oh, I love that.
So do you think that people recognized your voice as Lara, or was it too different from your speaking voice that like people didn't know? You know, it's different with you, Natalie. Obviously, like people can see your face and see you in the character because you're there physically. But Shelley, did people know unless you told them?
No, because many of the people I worked with or knew weren't gamers. Okay. So it's not a thing that they would go, oh my God, you're the voice of Lara Croft. It wasn't until maybe 2 years later that I was doing some filming in New York, and all the, the grips and the director and, all the people in the crew were suddenly like, I recognize your voice. Maybe just because you're British and, we hear Brits in films all the time. And, have you been in anything with No? And I said, I don't know. I did a game called Tomb Raider, Oh my God! And then they go, do this, do that, see that.
That's amazing.
They couldn't believe it. That's the only time that people have, I thought, oh wow.
That's awesome. So you were asked back for the second Tomb Raider, correct? But you were like so busy at that time and weren't able to do it.
You see, I'm very, very blessed in my career that I left acting behind, which is a good thing because I'd lost my passion for it. And I feel like when you lose your passion, you should move on. Yeah. But I've never lost my passion for voiceovers. So from when I started being a voiceover artist, the work came in thick and fast. And, you get contracted. I was contracted to Disney, to Blockbuster Video, and pretty soon. Yeah. And I had a very long career with Disney and 20 odd years and Blockbuster Video. And once you're contracted, you can't make the dates work, or it's much more difficult. Yeah. And they needed to do it in a specific time, which I just couldn't do. So I gave my permission to use my voice on 2 and 3. So they used all my sound bites, from the first game on the second and third.
Awesome. And I remember you told me this, which was pretty incredible, that you found out that someone was working on the Tomb Raider movie with Angelina Jolie and found out that she actually listened to your voice to get inspiration and to work on her own accent. How unreal was that to find out?
Honestly, that was a gobsmacking moment that she might know my name, but she definitely knows my voice. It's like Angelina Jolie, and I love her. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll take that.
That's amazing, awesome. That's the cherry on top of an already amazing experience.
Oh yeah, come on, get that.
I'm just gonna leave that in the clip without any context. All right, Shelley. Okay, on to Natalie. So, what was your costume originally comprised of, and how did it differ from future models? One of the things I loved is that, like, in some of the early pictures, you had, like, little braided pigtails, which was super cute. Like, did you have some ownership over the costume and how it came to be?
Well, no, that was just my hair, and I do get quite jealous, actually, with all the other models having such amazing, sexy outfits, because mine was pretty naff, to be honest with you. Like, being the first model, it was like a pair of I think they got a lot of the uniform secondhand. Well, not the uniform, the outfit. Yeah. The shorts were like ex-army shorts, and the holster was very old. The t-shirt was just a cotton top, nothing like the next model, Rona Mitra's outfit, who had a lovely latex, sexy top and nice tight shorts. Everything was like made to measure. But yeah, I was pretty envious, actually.
I guess that's the trade-off for being the first, is that they're kind of figuring out things as they go. But yeah, they eventually went on to do those like really heavy new rock boots, which I heard were actually pretty challenging to move around in, and the latex tops and all of that. I will say yours was probably more comfortable. I think it was very cute. But I can understand, like, there is
I can imagine it got quite sweaty, but...
So how did you feel in it, though? Like, was this one of the first times that you had done something modeling that was a bit more, a character that was a bit more, like, physically powerful and confident like that, and maybe even a little bit aggressive? What did it make you feel?
Totally different. Her? Yeah, totally different to obviously Snow White. It was like one extreme to the other, really. Yeah. But it was amazing to play a character that was like all about girl power, and didn't take no shit from no one. I really did enjoy playing the character. I was told that I had to act a certain way, and I definitely did.
I'm curious, actually. So we hear all the time about how, many of like the young men and gamers and stuff like loved seeing Lara at the conventions and got so excited. At that point yet, had you had many like young women or girls come up to you and get excited about the character, or did that come a little bit later? Because like for me, I saw Lara and was just like, I fell in love with her. And so later.
Yeah, there wasn't, I can't recall any female fans actually when I first started doing it. About 5 years ago, the 20th anniversary, I went to Manchester, the cosplay there. And there was a lot more female fans coming up, probably equal to the men. A lot of the girls coming up dressed in her outfit, which was really lovely to see.
It is. And I actually love that now, like, there's actually a lot of male cosplayers who cosplay as their versions of Lara too, which is just wonderful because it's like they're embracing the love for the character and being empowered by her, no matter what gender they are. So that's wonderful. So your first job was at the European Computer Trade Show, you said, in 1996. So what did they have you do? Like, people didn't know who Lara was, so were you speaking to them and telling them about the game, or was it primarily just posing for photos and stuff like that?
Mainly posing for photos. They just wanted us to run around, pretend to shoot people, act really moody, like we were pretty untouchable in a way. You come in and I'm going to shoot you dead sort of thing. But we did have a lot of people that come up and said, who are you? What are you doing? And, so we explained a little bit, as much as what we were told, the character that we had to play. That was about it. A bit like Shelley 25 years ago. I can't quite remember too much about it, but I do remember we had a lot of fun.
So that's interesting. You were allowed to speak as Lara then, or so on, because the later models until I think Legend actually were not allowed to speak as Lara, and if they ever had opportunities, like the voice actress would actually like be behind stage speaking or something. Like they actually were not. They were told to not speak as Lara because they didn't want that disconnect between the voice actress and the model. So that wasn't an issue yet. Again, they were kind of figuring out how things would work.
Yeah, not back then. I wasn't told that I wasn't allowed to speak. But if I did, it was very blunt, short answers.
Embody her. I love that.
I think at the time, a lot of guys were a little bit scared. They were like, who is this character like running around with guns in a holster sort of thing? I mean, it wouldn't be allowed now, to walk around with guns and whatnot. And I think a lot of the male fans were really interested in the guns.
A lot of cosplayers.
I'm not sure it was the guns. Actually. I'm going to put that out there.
Cosplayers have gotten creative over the years as the restrictions on like props and stuff at conventions get a little bit more tight. So they'll either print out like cardboard versions that look low poly, kind of like the original, or I've actually seen a Lara walking around with bananas, which I think is kind of funny. Just like 2 bananas in her holsters, and it's like, well, run with the rules. Like, you're adhering to the rules. That's fine. Like, they're a little less intimidating, but pretty funny. So so you said that after this initial gig, you ended up doing more of the face of Lara stuff as kind of like the premiere model there. So what kind of stuff did you do? I think you said store openings and launch parties and all that.
That's it, mainly the game store, which is quite a big chain of gaming stores around the UK. The Virgin stores were quite big then. HMV, I used to go around promote the game. Do you remember? And promote the game, and they get me to play against, the fans, which I was really useless at, which I didn't go down too well, but I'm not techno at all. So that was sort of thing, and photo shoots, and I did do a commercial as well, which was amazing fun. They had an expert in arms that taught me how to use a real gun, because I had to fire real guns. It was all a little bit scary actually, and daunting. So that was great. And they also got someone in to be my stunt double that could do backflips and all things like that. And it was a commercial that they used in the cinemas before films and everything. So that was, I remember going to the cinema. I can't remember what I was watching, and then my commercial came on. So that was amazing.
That has been so cool. I don't think that we have that in our archives. That is like my mission to try to find it, unless you have.
Well, do you know Ash?
I do.
Yeah,
I
I'm
need
sure
to ask him for it. Like, I feel like I've seen it, but we don't have it on our channels. But definitely I'll need to find it so that people can see it, because I remember it being super cool. Like, that really was a really awesome early commercial for Lara. And then you also had this amazing story about how you almost got your dad in trouble because he had your costume in his car. You want to talk to that?
I phoned my parents up. I'd just done a job promoting Lara Croft, and I said, "Oh, would you pick me up from the station?" And they said, "Yeah, we're not far away. We'll come and grab you." So they picked me up and got to the traffic lights. And my dad said, "Natalie, let me have a look at the guns that you use." So I went, "Oh, okay." Got it out, and he's looking at it, you know, observing it all, and he was like, "Oh my God, they're so realistic." Put it back, and they dropped me home. It must have been about 2 hours later, there's a knock at the door. Open the door, and my parents are standing there with 5 police. And they said, "We need to come in and search your property." And my dad said, "They're looking for your guns, your Lara Croft guns." And I was like, "What the hell has gone on?" And apparently they were looking all over the house because they didn't believe my dad. He tried to explain the story that, hang on a minute, my daughter is a character called Lara Croft. Well, back then they were like, who's Lara Croft? Like, what are you on about? So in the end, I got the guns, I showed them, they had to radio through to this special branch. And apparently what happened is my dad fitted a description of a wanted man, and a bus driver, sorry, I forgot to say this bit, a bus driver, when my dad was looking at my guns at the traffic lights, a bus driver had seen my dad looking at this gun and reported it straight to the police. Amazing. And when my parents arrived at their home, they saw these cars parked outside and didn't think anything of it. And then the next thing, they were going to smash the door down, basically. And it was absolutely terrifying for my parents. They had to put their arms up. They're like, "Arms up, don't move." They ransacked my parents' house. Wow. And then they they had to be police escorted to my house. And found, gave them the guns. And then they said, "Okay, everything's fine. You know, we know that they're not real and we're sorry." You know, I do think they deserved a bit more than a sorry, because it was, I mean, my dad nearly had a heart attack.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, looking back now, it was a really, you know, funny story to tell.
Again, that was at the point that saying,
I know what the police say. I'd like to hear their story, like when they tell friends, you know, "We tried to arrest Lara Croft."
I love that. So that's obviously like a pretty bizarre or memorable moment, but what about with a fan? I feel like you told me at one point that a fan proposed to you. Is this true?
Yeah, it was a regular occurrence, actually. Most of these different things, they're like, "Oh my goodness, will you marry me?" And yeah, I did get quite a lot of marriage proposals, which was sweet, you know.
I love that. So they proposed to Lara, or did they propose to you?
Well, I think it was Lara.
Both.
I'd like to think it was Lara. A bit weird.
I love that. I love that the fans would actually, like, obviously address you as Lara, like you are Lara brought to life, and propose to Lara, this fictional character.
Yeah, that's what was so lovely about playing the part, is to see the fans' faces. Like, they were like, in absolute awe.
Yeah.
And when they actually see you in person, they really do think that Lara Croft is real.
That's a testament to you embodying her, obviously. But yeah, I mean, like, fans still to this day really love that we don't have official models anymore, but we hire cosplayers, because there is that moment that you love just seeing Lara brought to life, and it's just such a good feeling as a fan to see somebody embody Lara that way. So totally get it. I love that. And this is actually one that very few people know about. So Core had you, or IDOS had you record a song called Raider. So what was the experience? What was that? Had you done music or singing before? Or was that just at their request?
No, I loved singing.
Okay.
I've always enjoyed singing. And I think they asked me once, I can't remember, I'm sure they must have said to me, "Can you sing? And we're interested in Lara bringing out a record." So I went for a meeting with a guy who used to be in a band called Curiosity Killed the Cat, I think it was.
Oh, love them.
Do you remember them? Yeah. So him and about 3 or 4 others, and they said, "Yeah, you know, we want to do this song." They got a writer in, wrote the lyrics, and that was it. And the next thing I knew, I was in a recording studio.
Wow.
So yeah, it was great. But there was one bit in it where I had to say my name is Lara, and it was more something that you would have probably have had to say because you obviously were her voice. But yeah, it was. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I mean, I didn't actually want to stop being Lara Croft. It was such a great job, and I was a little bit envious of all the other models because she's just got better and better each time, really.
Yeah.
So what happened with this song? Why didn't they release it? Like originally you had a recording of it, right? Do you know why it didn't end up making it public?
Do you know what? I don't know because it was a really good song.
Yeah.
And I do, if I say so myself. And,
I think it was great.
And I don't honestly know why they didn't use it.
So I'll link to it. I'll make sure the people watching have a chance to listen to it because it is great.
Oh, I'd love to hear that.
I feel like this was like right at the start where they were starting to realize that Lara was going to become a pop culture sort of icon, and so they're like, pop culture, pop music, let's do this.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
We'll make sure it gets its time in the light. I think it's online. We'll link to it. I think Ash has got it online, so we'll make sure that people get to listen to it and enjoy it. So last question specifically for you. You suited up again as Lara for the 20th anniversary. What was that like at a convention in the UK? What was that like? Was that just bizarre, fulfilling?
It was lovely. I felt really privileged to be asked. You know, I did sort of think, why me and not all the other models? Because there has been so many other models, and so yeah, I did it, and to meet so many fans, and especially there was this one family. The husband and the wife had been fans of Lara Croft for years and years and years, and they had their 2 children with them, 2 little girls, and they were dressed as Lara too. And it was like, oh my goodness, that it's been carried down by, you know, the next generation now, and it's so lovely to see. And yeah, it was really lovely. It did feel a little bit strange, actually, you know, being in my 40s, putting the outfit back on and everything, managing to squeeze back into the shorts. But yeah, it was lovely. It was great. It was a really lovely thing to do and to be asked to do as well.
I have heard nothing but good things about it. People said that it was lovely to meet you and they had such a great time, and I think it was a wonderful way to celebrate. So that's awesome. So I've got a couple questions about the legacy then. So for both of you, were you inspired at all by your time as Lara Croft, and did any part of her persona or so on kind of influence you, or the experience, or is there something that kind of resonates with you still to this day? We'll start with you, Shelley.
I'm going to say at the time, no. At the time, I'll be honest, it was just a gig.
Totally.
You know, I went, you know, you do a gig and you forget about it, you know, the next day. So I forgot about it totally until a year later when I saw her on the front cover of magazines, and, you know, it was on sale in the shop. I mean, I totally forgot about it. And not being a gamer, it just wasn't part of my makeup, my life. So I didn't realise until I joined Twitter, I'm going to say 5 years ago, I didn't realise how big it still was. And that's been amazing to me, how much of a global icon she is, and how the franchise has continued, and how it has all ages, the people that originally started playing the games and little kids playing the games. I have a girl called Emily, I think she's 7 or 8, 7 I think, and she comes to Comic Cons and she comes to concerts and she comes to interviews, and she's obsessed with Lara, and I love seeing that, you know, all the ages, running through the ages. It's incredible. But at the time, didn't have any effect on me. Now I can see my son fall in love with Lara. I've just bought him the game for his birthday, and he lights up when he hears things on YouTube with my voice. Mummy, that's you. Mummy, that's you. You're Lara.
That's amazing.
And that for me is like, I love it.
Awesome. That's great. How about for you, Natalie?
A little bit like Shelley at the time. She didn't really have any effect on me because we didn't really know that much about her. But now, as obviously time's gone on, we know a lot more about her, and you know, she's this powerful woman that, you know, fights evil and helps save the vulnerable and the poor. And she's I think she's just got it all as a woman, and you know, that's quite inspiring actually.
Definitely.
She has it all.
And what would you say now that you do know more about her and you've seen the influence, what are each of your favorite aspects of her character? We'll start with you, Shelley.
I think about her character, I love her sassiness. I can't speak for the later games, obviously, and I've only seen clips of mine. But I would say, to be fair, I would say that it's her sassiness, it's her delivery. Yes, she's a loner, but she gets her stuff done. That doesn't seem to bother her. I need people around me, but she's a loner, and I love that she's gutsy and strong. But what I also love is that it's brought so many people together across the world, all ages. They're mad about her, and it's global, and I love that. She's brought so many people together.
And how about for you, Natalie? What's your sort of favorite aspect of her character?
Probably her confidence. I mean, she's a very confident person. She knows what she wants and she knows how to get it. And perhaps I'd like to be a bit like that myself.
She's very aspirational.
Like Shelley said, she's so sassy as well, which I love about her.
So both of you have families with children. So what do your kids think? Do your kids think about you being Lara Croft, and not just Lara Croft, like the first on each of your sides? Now, Shelley, what do your family think about that?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, my son is now discovering her, and to see the love, developing, and the look in his eyes when he can see in magazines and stuff, interviews with me, he can't believe it. My husband used to play Tomb Raider when he was younger, and he's 10 years younger than me. And he only found out once we were engaged that I was the voice.
No way!
Yeah. And funnily enough, he said to me the other night, he didn't know, it's not something that comes up in conversation, And he said to me the other night that he used to play the game, but then he got bored of it because he couldn't, get past her saying no all the time. And now he's stuck forever with me saying no. So that's quite funny. But my son loves it.
Yeah, and how about your kids, Natalie?
Yeah, my children are really proud, and they used to go to school and sort of say my mum was the first Lara Croft, and my eldest is now 21. So back then they didn't quite know who she was, but I used to have a few pictures up on my wall of me as Lara Croft, and I remember they were like, oh my goodness, wow, look at, they just couldn't believe it. And then obviously to see the guns, like I said, especially children, they're quite fascinated by a beautiful looking woman with guns. It's like, wow, it's all new to them. But my boys especially are really proud of their mummy being the first Lara Croft model.
That is so cool. All right, well, do you have any special messages you want to share with the fans who admire your guys' work? I know, like, Natalie, you're not quite on social media as much. Shelley, you interact with fans all the time, so you probably get to talk to them very regularly. But
they're probably so bored of me. But I would just like to say, as I do all the time when I meet them, thank you for the support. The love for Lara is incredible, and the fact that they support the Laras, whichever Lara they love, is a wonderful thing that she continues, this franchise continues, and her legacy continues. And I'm very proud to be Lara. Of course, I'm honoured to be the first Lara, first voice of Lara, and I'm just so grateful for the love and support. Thank you very much.
Amazing. How about you, Natalie? Anything you'd want to say to the fans?
Yeah, the same sort of thing, actually. Thank you so much for the fans and for believing in her and the character. Just for always being there, really, and for having so much interest, which it's wonderful. And I just feel so grateful to have been given that job the very first time to portray the original Lara Croft. Which is amazing. So I just want to say thank you so much. It means a lot to me.
Right now, what we're basically going to do to wrap up this interview is we're going to go through some of Lara Croft's favorite things. So Lara Croft has always had a pretty fleshed out bio, and it's changed quite a bit over the years, but one of her original bios had pretty much everything from her favorite food to films and all that. So Lara's original favorite films are Deliverance and The Wrath of God. All right, so Shelley, what are your favorite films?
I'm a big musical buff, and I'm an old schooler, so I love all the West Side Stories, Singing in the Rain, things like that. Those are my things. But modern-wise, I would say Django Unchained and The Notebook.
Okay. How about you, Natalie?
One of my favourite films is Pretty Woman, I love Goodfellas, and also, like Shelley, I love The Notebook too.
It's super great. Okay, how about favorite food? So, the bio read, despite being a proficient cook from her days at finishing school, her usual food that she opts for is beans on toast when at home. So this is something that the first time I went to the UK, I was like, I have to try this beans on toast thing. What is this? And I had it, and I was like, it's definitely food. I mean, it's fine. It was fine, but I didn't quite understand the beans on toast thing. Any insight into that is appreciated.
You need to put some grated cheese on the top.
Okay, did I not do it right?
I've had that 3 days already this week.
Okay, maybe I just had like super plain beans on toast and I didn't like do it correctly. I also microwave my tea, so I'm probably just doing everything British wrong.
Oh my gosh, you should be going to prison for that. When you next come to London, I'll do your beans on toast and a proper cup of tea.
My friends in Ireland did buy me an electric kettle, and I do use it most of the time, but sometimes if I'm like really in a hurry, I use the so I'd be terrible. Like, I'm no judge of
You're a busy lady
like that. Okay, so Shelley, what is your favorite food?
I love Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
I love steak with red wine and mushrooms, and a burger. I mean,
can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. How about you, Natalie?
It's got to be a traditional roast dinner.
Ooh.
Sunday roast, I think. I absolutely love that. All the trimmings, cauliflower cheese, carrots, sweet potato, Yorkshire
there you go, the
pudding,
quintessential British girl that she is.
Yeah, I love a roast dinner.
I do love English breakfasts. It's the beans on toast was the one thing I think I might have done wrong, but like a traditional English breakfast, those are so great. Okay, so Lara's favorite hobbies. Okay, so she says any challenging sports, anything that is extreme, so on. But then she also admitted once to having stitched a tapestry, which is very different. All right, so Shelley, what are your favorite hobbies?
I love sewing. So
Okay.
I feel her on the tapestry thing. I love sewing, get my machine out, make things, alter things. I love dancing. I'm a dancer, trained dancer. So I sometimes when the kids are in bed, I put my headphones in and I dance like no one's watching. That's one of my hobbies. That's also an escape. Rollerblading.
Okay.
And painting. I like to paint on canvas.
Well, then you should be able to keep busy at home. You've got lots of different options. That's awesome. How about you, Natalie?
Yeah.
Tennis. I love tennis.
Okay.
I'm quite a sporty person, so tennis, badminton, and I also love shopping, which is a big hobby of mine. Nothing like a bit of retail therapy.
Yeah, I also enjoy shopping, but maybe I have a very specific taste in stuff that I overindulge in, as you can see.
All right, behind you.
I know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I can't stop myself. All right, Lara's favorite heroes. So for her, all the great ancient figures who respected themselves enough to design intricate tombs to be buried in. She says nobody goes to that trouble anymore. Okay, so Shelley, how about for you? Do you have a hero, someone you really look up to?
Well, I love all the people like Marilyn Monroe and, all the big old stars back in the day. But for me, it's people that can help cure people. People that really put in the time and the effort to find cures for things or help make people feel better or be better or live a better lifestyle. That's someone that can really put themselves out for others. They're my heroes. Amazing. I wish I could be more like that.
All right, and how about for you, Natalie?
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. I think especially at the moment, what we're all going through, the pandemic, I think, hats off to our doctors, our nurses, the scientists, everyone that's helping, keep us safe. And without them,
Absolutely, 100% agree. All right, on to Lara's favorite music. So it says she was brought up with an appreciation for classical music, but also likes Nine Inch Nails, and considers it good, easy listening, and likes trance music for training. Very specific. Oh. I love like somebody wrote her bio and had this very specific, stuff in mind. So Shelley, how about your favorite music? So musicals?
I'm going to say trance is the least there. I can't stand trance. Oh, but I've got eclectic taste. I love everything from AC/DC to Barry Manilow, and all the 80s and the 50s and 60s, everything, Motown, hip hop, funk, whatever. I love it. Huge.
How about for you, Natalie?
Yeah, I'm quite similar to that. I love Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, Lionel Richie, Stevie Wonder, all those sort of singers. They are amazing, and they're who I love to listen to.
Feel good music.
Very white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, Lara's favorite transport was her Norton Street Fighter motorbike. So, do you have a favorite type of car or transportation or anything along those lines, Shelley?
Well, I love my Mini. I drive a silver Mini and Mini Cooper, but I love, the old Mercedes, like the 1960s. I don't know what they're called. I know nothing about cars, but I love the old convertible Mercedes cars. Beautiful.
Super beautiful. And for you, Natalie?
Well, if I had the choice, someone said you'd have any car you want, I would probably have to say a Bentley Sport. I do love that.
Go for it. Yeah, those are gorgeous.
So one day, maybe.
So the next one's Lara's lucky charm, and it was any gun at hand for her. So Shelley, do you have a lucky charm? Something that you think brings you good luck?
As Lara would say, I make my own luck.
Oh.
Oh, nice one.
It's almost like we set that up and we didn't. All right, how about for you, Natalie? Anything that you keep around as a good luck sign?
Well, I'm into crystals. So in my bedroom, scattered around my house, actually, I have lots of crystals to keep good energy, to keep me calm, and I'm a massive believer in them and heal. Crystals, and I keep them in my purse as well. I always carry them around with me.
I love that. I just started looking into crystals, and I've got my friends some crystals for like their goals for the new year and stuff like that. So I love it. They're not just beautiful, they're inspirational.
No,
so
they are.
All right, Lara's ambitions. Her main ambitions lie in the undefined world of tombs of the past. All right, that's kind of ambiguous. What are your ambitions now, Shelley? You're so accomplished in your career. What's something you still aim for?
Honestly, just to continue my passions. My passions, are being happy and healthy, having a happy and healthy family. Most important, but I love my job so much. I'm so blessed to be able to do it every day, and I just want that to continue because that's where my creativity lies, and that's where that's my happy place. My booth is my happy place, and as long as that continues, and my kids are healthy and we're all healthy, that's my ambition. That's it. Just to,
love it.
be happy.
Love it. And Natalie, what are your ambitions currently?
Yeah, my ambition at the moment, I want to set up an online interiors giftware shop online. I would have liked to have tried to have bought a little gift shop, but I don't think that's the way things are going now. So I'm going to start it small online. But yeah, just be grateful and blessed that like Shelley, I have a healthy and a happy life, and my children are healthy, and all my loved ones are healthy and happy, and health is wealth at the end of the day. So
absolutely,
that's the most important thing.
100%. All right, Lara's fears, second to last one. Her aunt's corgi, which has bitten her on several occasions, and there's little she can do about it. So this is one of those funny bits of like trivia that Lara Croft is afraid of corgis, so specifically her aunt's corgi. All right, good to know. Do you guys have any unusual fears? Things that are kind of out of the ordinary, or something that you're just like, no. Stay away.
No, I'm terrified of the normal things, spiders, any kind of creepy crawly. I just can't cope. I can't deal. My sister's scared of bananas. Is that not a weird one?
Wow.
It's very specific.
Never heard of that one before.
Bananas. She can't touch it. She can't look at it. She's.
She needs to speak on this morning.
Huh?
Have you seen them? The speakers on this morning. They're those therapists that I've seen. Yeah. I've seen the woman that was scared of a fridge. Her fridge. She couldn't go near her fridge because she was scared of it. And God knows how she ate. But there we go.
I'm on such good terms with my fridge. It's good.
Me too. I think everyone is at the moment.
All right, for you, Natalie, any unusual fears or anything like that?
No, same. I'm terrified of spiders. A little bit of flying as well. But I have to overcome that. I absolutely hate it. I feel like I can't breathe properly. I go clammy, and it's definitely the takeoff. I did have quite a scary experience a few years ago coming back from Ibiza, and I was sat right opposite the air stewardess, and she knew I had a fear of flying. And as we've gone up, there's always that horrible noise as you take off, that real loud groaning noise. And I was like, it doesn't sound right. And she was like, no, that's just because we're reaching altitude and it makes that noise. With that, her phone rings, the phone, and she's got this panicked look on her face. No. She went, pardon? What? Right. And I said to my husband, oh my goodness, this doesn't look good. He went, calm down, it's fine. But I just knew, looking at her face, nothing, it wasn't right. And an engine caught fire. So we had to try and make an emergency landing. And I must admit, I thought that was it. I thought we were going to crash it. it was absolutely terrifying. But obviously I'm here, I'm telling the tale. But the next day, on the next flight home, the pilot that landed that flight was sat behind us, and he said he'd never experienced anything like that before.
Wow.
And he said there's so many buttons that you need to push, and you have to think so quickly. He said, I must admit, he said I was really scared, but he did an amazing job landing it. But yeah, it didn't help me with my fear. I must admit.
I will admit, I also hate flying so much. However, there are years that I will fly, 80,000 miles a year. I haven't flown in like a year and a half because we,
no one has, yeah.
I know, and so it's super weird for me to be grounded this long. But actually, because I do so much stuff for Tomb Raider and get to meet fans, and like I always put it in my head, what would Lara do? It's like, all right, I'm scared. I can admit I'm scared, but I'm still gonna get on the plane. And I'm still gonna do this. But yeah, I'm not a fan of flying either. But people wouldn't usually know because I just do it all the time. Do it all the time. Just what is the opportunity on the other side of the flight is what I try to tell myself.
Yeah, me too.
And then the last little bit about Lara's bio is that she loves to be alone and she feels most alive when exploring ancient spaces on her own. So what is an activity that makes you guys feel most alive, and or are you a loner, or you enjoy company, or both?
I'm very sociable. I love company. I really miss at the moment going out with my girls, for dinners. Yeah. We have girly dinners and catch-ups. I really miss that. I feel alive when I'm dancing. I feel alive when I get a great gig to voice, so that I get to do a character, a different voice to a normal promo, for example. Swimming, I feel alive when I'm swimming.
Awesome. Those are a lot of great activities. How about you, Natalie?
Yeah, I especially at the moment, I get my joy from having all my children around me and just laughing. Laughing. Yeah. There's a lot of laughter that goes on inside my house, which is lovely, and having them all around me and with me is when I'm the happiest.
That's great. All right, so we have one more small. We'll keep these quick. We'll make them sort of like rapid fire questions. So they're exploring Tomb Raider 1. So basically, we're going to go through some of like the scenarios and would you rather type things in Tomb Raider 1 that Lara has to deal with. So first question is, Tomb Raider 1 introduced Croft Manor, which had amenities like a library, music room, gym, swimming pool. So if you could expand your home to have one of those, what would it be, Shelley?
I think I'd like an ice skating rink.
Ooh, that'd be amazing.
I would like an ice skating rink, and you could pull back the ice, and then it's a pool.
I love that.
I guess.
It's multifunctional. How about you, Natalie?
I'll have one of those.
Yeah. There you go. 2 for 1.
Swimming pool would be nice. I love swimming, so yeah, get all the kids in there, and yeah.
Laura had a really nice pool. I was super jealous of it.
Yeah.
All right. So Lara says, famously says, I only play for sport at the onset of the game, implying that the thrill of discovery is what motivates her. So what do you guys say is the thing that motivates you most for your goals? So I think we kind of touched on some of this, Shelley. So like family,
happiness and passion. Keeping my family happy, my family unit happy, and my passion for what I do in my career.
All right, and Natalie, for you?
That motivates me.
Yeah, the same sort of thing. Yeah, making sure that my children are happy and that everyone's healthy, and yeah, that's about it. I think Shelley summed that up.
And passing that on as well to them. I always try and pass on to, say to my kids, to follow your passions and to, you're only as happy as your children are once you have children, so to see them happy and thriving is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I can imagine. Okay, a couple of would you rathers. So there are a lot of ferocious foes in Peru to keep Lara from her goal. So would you rather go up against a pack of wolves or a single bear, Shelley?
I'm going to say a single bear, because at least I might have some sort of a chance rather than being attacked from all sides.
Multiple directional. All right, how about you, Natalie? Team bear or team wolves?
Yeah, I'd probably say bear, because I could just get my bow and arrow out or a gun, and job done.
Pro tip: in the beginning of the Tomb Raider game, you can just run and jump in this pool of water, and then the bear won't get you. That's what I did all the time. I was so afraid of the bear that I would just run past the bear and jump in the water, and then I'd be like, "You can't get me." Tell my heart calm down, and then I would figure out how to get rid of it. Okay, so not all foes in Tomb Raider are large in scale. Would you rather be in a tomb filled with rats or bats, Shelley?
They neither bother me, so I'm cool. Okay. If you put a spider in there, I'm out. But a rat or a bat, no problem.
Not till Tomb Raider 2. Natalie, how about for you?
Oh, well, neither of those. I'd just I'd hate that. A rat or a bat, but I'd probably take my chances with a bat more, because they are kind of cute in a way.
They are. I describe them as flying
Even though I don't
rats,
like them.
and then people are like, "That's worse." Like, but I
Yeah,
think
they're just
rats are cute too.
rats with wings.
Yeah,
Yeah, they are.
I think they're
But
adorable. Okay, so would you rather the showmanship of Lara moves are part of her major appeal early on? So would you rather be able to perform a perfect handstand or a flawless swan dive, Shelley?
As long as there's water there, a swan dive. As long as there's
Very,
water there.
okay,
I'm quite
important.
clumsy.
All right.
I don't think I don't think there's anything. I could do a handstand against a wall, but I think a swan dive, very
Swan
elegant and yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Natalie?
Me too. That's pretty impressive, isn't it?
The
To be able
more
to do
flips.
swan
Oh,
dive.
yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so in the Lost Valley, Lara discovers a Lost Valley in Peru where dinosaurs are still alive. So if you discovered a world where there were mythical or extinct creatures that could be alive, what would they be? So we talk like unicorns or Sasquatch or dinosaurs. What would you find in your Lost Valley? Shelley, we'll start with you.
Megalodon. I'm obsessed with sharks, so I would say megalodon.
All right.
I would love to, go down and see one of those, and
With proper safety precautions.
absolutely. I'm a chicken at the end of the day. I'd like to be in a cage, very thick cage, and just view them. Yeah. Ooh,
Pretty
yeah.
incredible. All right, Natalie, how about for you? What would you find in a Lost
Yeah.
Valley?
Maybe a dinosaur. I
Yeah.
mean, to get close to, maybe a Tyrannosaurus Rex or, a dinosaur, I think would be pretty awesome.
Cool. I agree. Okay, so in the tomb of Qualopec, Lara discovers a piece of the scion there. If someone found your long lost tomb, what treasure would be buried there to represent you, Shelley? What would someone find? Like, would it be an iPod? Would it be a DVD, a specific movie? Like, what would they find to represent you?
Hundreds of high-heeled shoes.
All right.
That's
What-
it.
what
I'll
are
be
these
covered
tools
in
of
covered in
torture?
shoes.
How about you, Natalie? What would people find in your tomb?
Probably, a handbag of some description. Chanel.
Okay,
I think
love that.
Chanel handbag.
Just resting your head on the Chanel.
Yeah.
Right, so Atlantis. Lara discovers her doppelganger in Atlantis, and it copies her every move. Fans lovingly call her Bacon Lara, which is hilarious. So if you could have a copy of yourself, what would you have her do for you, Shelley? Like, do all your chores, all the stuff you don't like doing? Like, what would she do?
I've got 2 stories. So I would get her to go up and down, doing the washing, all the laundry. I hang it up upstairs. I run down again. I hang it. That's what she'd be doing.
Amazing. And you, Natalie?
Yeah, probably putting my bins out, because even though I've got 3 sons and my husband, I seem to be the one that has to roll the bins out all the time and bring them back in and take the rubbish out and change the toilet roll when it runs out.
What?
Because I think, they just have empty toilet rolls hanging. No one to put a new toilet roll on. It's always left to me.
It's the
Oh,
small
yeah.
things. Small things that make a difference, though. All right, on a
Yeah.
similar line, Lara had cheat codes for unlimited ammo and weapons in Tomb Raider 1. If you could have a cheat for unlimited something, what would it be? And let's not say money, because like that's a more obvious one. So like if you'd have unlimited anything, I feel like it's going to be shoes for you, Shelley. But no?
Say that again. If I had unlimited what?
So there's cheat codes in the original Tomb Raider where you can get unlimited ammo or so on. So like if you could have a cheat code for life that would give you unlimited something, what would it be?
Okay. I would like to get unlimited time to the ones I love. I would guess that. I've got a thing at the moment. I would love to go back. I wish I'd spent more time with my grandparents, asking them their stories, and I would like a cheat code to be able to go back and just spend more time with them and ask them questions that I was too kind of, silly and selfish to ask before.
Too bad we don't have like level skips. Skip around in levels like in the game. That would be very helpful. How about you, Natalie?
Yeah, probably handbags. Yeah, handbags. I do
love
love
it.
my handbags.
One for every outfit, every day.
Yeah.
Lara also had a bottomless backpack. Like, I don't know how she fit everything she did in it, but it had her essentials, her passport, her medipack, and all of that, her weapons. So what are your travel essentials when you guys go somewhere? What is the thing that you absolutely have to have in your bag with you?
Oh, first of all, earplugs. I have to have earplugs for the flights. People snoring, kids screaming. First off, they go in. That's what goes in first.
Okay, all right. And Natalie, for you, what can't you travel without?
At the moment, hand sanitizer, because I'm a bit of a freak when it comes to that. And my crystals. I do like to take crystals with me.
I love that. That's great. Okay, another would you rather. Lara always seems prepared, even if her outfits are a little off for the climate. So would you rather have to survive in a snowy tundra or a scorching desert, Shelley? Hot or cold?
Snowy.
Snowy?
I don't like the heat. I don't like the sun. I'm a real autumn winter gal. So snow all the way.
Okay, Natalie, how about you? Snow or sand? Sun?
Sun, definitely. I don't like the cold. I hate the cold. I just my husband keeps saying we must take the kids skiing, but I'm like, no, it's okay. You take the boys skiing. Just put me on a beach somewhere.
Well, you could go to the lodge next to the fireplace and like be a little snow bunny next to the fireplace.
Nice.
There's nice things even if you stay inside. Enjoy the snow view. All right.
Well, yeah.
And the last question, so looking back on Lara's first adventure, where would you most like to go, if you haven't been already, out of the places she traveled? So Peru, Greece, Egypt. I'm not counting Atlantis, since I don't think there are flights to Atlantis yet. So out of Peru, Greece, and Egypt, where would you like to go, Shelley? Or have you been to any of those places?
I'd say Peru, because I've been to the other two. I would say Peru, just to see what it's like and have an adventure.
Yeah. Machu Picchu someday. Natalie, how about for you?
Well, I've never been to Egypt, so perhaps to go and see the pyramids. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that one day.
Incredible. Someday, hopefully we'll all get to go back to traveling at some point in time, and the world will open up again once it's safe.
Yeah.
But those were all the questions I had. You two have been amazing to talk to. Thank you so much. I think fans are really going to enjoy this little, travel back in time and getting inside your guys' head with these Lara questions. So anything else you want to sign off and say to fans before we go, Shelley?
Just thank you so much for the loyalty, for the support. I'm thrilled to be, part of the history. It's mind blowing to me every day that I'm a small part of this fantastic, icon and history, and I'm very, very grateful. Thank you so much, and thank you for this interview, Natalie. It's lovely to meet you.
And you
for the first time.
So nice. I've heard so much about you.
Yeah, you too from Ash. Yeah.
Any final thoughts, Natalie? Anything you want to share before we sign off?
Yeah, pretty much like Shelley, just to say thank you so much to all the fans for being so loyal and for always being there and for being so supportive and yeah, you're amazing.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both so much. We will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
The name is Lara. Okay.